Welcome back, passive income investors. I like to what I believe is the tippity top of this real estate mountain when we're talking about prices. And I can truly say that because what happens when you spend a decade watching interest rates go down? Well, eventually hit those basement bottom barrel prices. And baby, it is only up from here. And I'm not saying this to scare anybody. Hell, I want to make money in this market. And we're going to explain 3 REITs today that I think trade for a hell of a lot less than the current market value of these properties. And one new REIT that I haven't talked about yet that will be added to my portfolio. But first, we just got to get a picture here, guys. What the hell is going on with real estate? I mean, we're watching things fly up here, especially in Canada, and I'm sure in the US, in multiple cities, Miami, wherever, 20-30% increases in under a year. And I'm going to tell you why this is going to be getting out of control and why we know pretty with a high likely degree of certainty that interest rates might not fly through the roof, but we're going to start seeing them incrementally go up. And that is because you cannot have real estate running at a 20 or 30% growth rate a year when rents are only allowed to go up, a few basis points a year. You have to understand, guys, that when you buy a piece of real estate and you want to rent it out, you need to make enough rental income to cover the mortgage and expenses and hopefully put an extra 5% in your pocket. That's how people got rich in the real estate market. But when real estate prices get so inflated that the rental income isn't enough to cover the mortgage and the basic bills, especially here in Canada, it is brutal that way. But when that happens, guys, people start pulling the brakes and they said, hey, maybe I don't want to own real estate. Maybe I'll wait, or I'll go find a wedge deal, or I'll look a little bit more aggressively for somewhere that'll have a higher end cash flow. So you have to understand, don't be buying real estate thinking you're just gonna make all these capital gains, because that's what's happening right now. That is not where the future is going. And oh my God, I'm gonna put a little fear in your eyes because we're gonna listen to Kevin O'Leary, who has nothing ever good to say about the real estate market and the pandemic, but he touches base on some stuff that I think will give us a better, broader view. Then I'm gonna hone in on a more particular view while I share with you the 3 REITs that I am buying here, folks, including one new one that I'm adding to the portfolio. But over to you, Kevin.
Think about this. I know we're getting vaccinated, and that is great. But there's new strains. Every year there'll be a percentage of the population that never takes the vaccine. So COVID's coming back like a flu each year. And I think people are going to be more health conscious. They're not going to want to be jammed into elevators going up the 78th floor anymore. They're going to want to work from home. That's a bit of a trend. We don't know yet the total impact of it. So you've got this diminishment of the value of office space and commercial real estate and retail space. There's a lot of stores in third-grade malls, like really cheap places. They're not making any money because people are buying everything from Amazon and direct from companies. That's called the Great American Digital Pivot. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. People want to live at home. They want to have their own space. They want to have a place they can live and work, raise their kids, take care of their parents, whatever they're going to do. So you've got this 2 different spheres of value. Commercial real estate down, residential real estate up. How up? Big time up. So I would say that if you're thinking about investing in real estate, go residential, not commercial. There will be a chance. Think about something like a Bed Bath & Beyond. They closed 200 stores across America. Why? Because their online direct-to-consumer business was up 76%. What's going to happen to the stores? They're not going to be stores anymore. They have to be converted to climate control, pick, packing, facilities with robots that ship stuff out to the suburbs. Think about those crappy little movie theaters in those malls, the tiny ones, not the big ones. I think they come back. The IMAX, that kind of thing. But a little ratty movie theater that's not going to get any capital spent on it, and your feet are going to stick on the carpet. Who wants to go there? They're going to zero. Another class of real estate. Big problem.
So look, I don't think Kevin O'Leary is wrong whatsoever here, but I think those statements are so broad and granular that you can never kind of pinpoint it down to like specific individual companies and say, this one's a mall REIT. This is going to do terrible. We should sell it, because I've been buying mall REITs, and we're going to explain because many of you know which ones, but to show you how well certain malls are doing, because what Kevin O'Leary is pinpointly talking about is basically the small little guy. Small little guy is always getting screwed. And in fact, here in the ritziest mall that literally Toronto has to offer, what we call it's called Yorkdale Mall. Just take a look at this, guys. It was utterly packed. Literally, like, what was this posted? Let me take a look. They actually share within the video because I think this was posted literally like not even a few days ago. And I just can't get over how busy this mall was. So for anybody that think malls are going to be dead, this is April 3rd. Yeah. Anyone that thinks malls are dead is nuts. Now, small in-town malls, maybe. Strip malls, maybe. But these big conglomerates, baby, are undervalued in my humble opinion. And I'm going to explain to you why right now and why you probably want to pay attention to some of these REITs. But first, let's talk about a REIT that isn't mall related because most of you will relate to this one much better because I want to share these 3 REITs that I think are really important for my personal diversification anyways. Numero uno, Stag Industrial here, folks. Stag Industrial has nothing to do with malls whatsoever. And this company in after hours just hit all-time highs. So we just look at this thing flying after hours, up 1.49%. I loaded the boat on this. I've been throwing, come and check this one out to everybody because this industrial sector, guys, relates so well to the Amazon Shipping and Logistics Center. In fact, Amazon is their largest tenant because everybody knows that shipping and logistics, whether you're literally Tesla, that this company has exposure to, UPS, Kellogg's, FedEx, Starbucks. This company has all of these clients under their belt because all of these clients have parts and deliveries and they need logistics and they can't do their own logistics all the time, guys. They're expanding too rapidly. So this is just one part of the real estate sector that ain't gonna slow down anytime soon here, folks. And it just seems to be one of the easiest places to park money and make a return. And I'm going to be a testament to that as I got about over 10,000 sitting in this. I'm already up over 10%, collecting closer to a 5% yield, give or take. But still, guys, don't overlook the industrial sector. RioCan, numero dos, my second favorite, and what I should say is my largest holding in my entire portfolio. And yes, this is a mall REIT, but it's a diversified mall REIT. And I don't know why we call it a mall REIT because they do residential buildings, condo buildings, they do office space. They're going to be renting to Shopify and they are building some of the most premier real estate in Toronto. One of their the most premier property is The Well, not Pivot. That's another property. The Well basically is going to house 1,700 residential units, a ton of office space. In fact, Shopify is going to be one of their largest tenants in this office, and they don't plan on pulling out anytime soon. I think they're going to make it their head office. What a beautiful piece of real estate. It's going to be one of the most premier malls, office, and residential buildings in downtown Toronto. And this is just one of many. Their earnings have been relatively sustained through this pandemic to a point where I still think they're trading at a relative discount to their current earnings multiple with tenants like Shoppers Drug Mart, the banks, like really stabilized tenant basis. And I think at the bottom of the entire pandemic, I think they collected a total of 72 or 73% of the rents, which is a little lower than I wanted, but for the entire fiscal year of 2020, I think they collected 93% of the rents or something like that. Don't quote me, I'd have to throw the sheets up, but I'm just giving you guys a brief introduction because many of you are aware of these 2 REITs that I own. And the newest one I have to add to the portfolio, guys, because like Kevin O'Leary says, these mall REITs are doing massive shifts. RioCan is shifting massively into mixed-use buildings, really focused with residential, office, and basically malls. It's kind of like the future of real estate in cities, right? Like you're basically building an entire city within a city where you don't even have to leave your condo building anymore to show up at the office or pick your groceries up or hang out at the mall downstairs. So it's kind of interesting how RioCan looks at some of the designs, but they are going to be the most premier buildings in Toronto, in my opinion. But numero 3, I'm not good with Spanish here. Taking a look, guys, at Smart Centers. Yes, I'm going to add another REIT to my portfolio. Well, at least I'm thinking about it. Why Smart Centers in particular? Well, this was one that going into the pandemic, I never paid too much attention to. I went through their investor relation and I was like, you know what? Yeah, this isn't really any different than RioCan. It wasn't that exciting to me. It wasn't making my mouth drool or my eyes glaze over. And I wish I was picking this one up on the dip as well because they're primarily encored by Walmart. Walmart is their number 1 tenant. In fact, I can show you their tenants. You got Canadian Tire, LCBO, Rexall. Like this is very reminiscent of RioCan. RioCan has a lot of similar tenants to what these guys have. And I ended up choosing RioCan over them because I figured, RioCan is more focused in the city and they're paying a much heftier premium for those really localized spots, whereas this one is a little bit more broader, reaching a lot more properties on the outer skirts of the city. However, the big mistake I was making here, guys, was not realizing that the properties they own are going to become condo buildings. And it's going to happen real fast here because not only are they collecting a really decent amount of their rent still, guys, and I'm going to implore you to kind of go through this on your own. Whereas my computer can't even keep up with this as we hear the fan kick in here, guys. But still, let me just scroll through and show you some of these buildings they're setting up because they're basically extending off the malls that they currently own, which is brilliant in my opinion because if you have malls that are encored by things like drugstores and Walmarts, why not just build little cities around them so people not only have to forcefully shop at those shopping centers, centers, but live right next to them in all of your own real estate, right? And just take a look at some of these projects, guys, because they own some pretty hefty real estate, in my humble opinion. And some of the ones I want to show you, I think, are more toward the bottom here. Look at this. Look at this, guys. So they have a Cambridge vision of building like, there's probably like 15 or 20 condo buildings here. And we scroll down and you take a look at some of these massive properties where they're like, hey, we should just be building residential buildings around these places. And there's one after another, after another, after another. And like I said, it's so mind-boggling to me that they haven't cut the dividend like RioCan went through. I don't think RioCan had to cut their dividend either. But nonetheless, guys, for where they're currently trading down, I think from the, let's say from the peak of 2020 here, just before the pandemic, they're still trading down about 15.28%. They were impacted on their earnings, but we can only presume that's because of obviously cleaning, maintenance. Every company got hit on their earnings last year because of those primary reasons of PPE equipment and all that jazz. But still, I still think, just like RioCan, for the starting 6.75% dividend yield that they are not going to cut, in my humble opinion, the fact that they are shifting so beautifully into these newer kind of ideas of let's just build condos in residential areas around our really encored malls with super AAA rated tenants. I mean, it gets juicier and juicier. My mouth waters, and I'm like, maybe why the hell do I just own RioCan when I could also own the outer skirts of real estate that is also booming? And the most incredible thing about these two REITs I'm showing you guys is I know they're just Canadian REITs, but I know the Canadian market very well. And we just saw a 20-30% moonshoot in most Canadian properties. And the fact that these REITs haven't recovered just based off their property values going up also screams discount to me. So I would not be going into trying to buy properties right now. And talk to any realtor. It is incredibly hard to try and find real estate that positively cash flows. And that usually means people are putting the brakes on how much real estate they're buying, especially when we know we're heading into a market where for the first time in almost a decade, interest rates are going up, or going to start going up and not go down any farther. We're literally at base zero interest rates right now, guys. You can get interest rates from 1.5% to like 2.5% at the top if you're getting AAA or AAA rated credit from the banks right now. But however, guys, if you can cap in a 6.7% dividend yield or even over a 5% dividend yield off any of these REITs trading at the fundamental discounts to where they currently sit against the real estate market, why even bother buying real estate? I mean, you're better off just leveraging your money into the future of what these companies are going to achieve. And I still think you're getting a massive, massive discount, which makes me pass the question off to you. What do you guys think about real estate right now in the comment section below? Do you believe, like I believe, because REITs are exposed to the stock market, that they can cyclically get hit a lot harder than, say, a physical piece of real estate? But at the same time, if you're a new investor, you're going to be getting a better discount, in my opinion, from the stock market than the physical market. So again, just some interesting points. And in light of all this, stay cool, stay awesome. And oh yeah, I'll tell you when I add smart centers to my portfolio. So consider subscribing because I am drooling at them out. But I'll catch you guys tomorrow.